I, like everybody else, Graeme, built myself up for Liverpool Manchester United and thought it was going to be a goal fest, very much in favour of Liverpool. But as can happen, it didn't work out that way.
No, everyone thought that. Why did it happen? Man United had a game plan, which you can understand them approaching that game in particular the way they did. Liverpool had a bad day, though, in terms of the last third. I thought the football was good enough. They kept getting to the opposition's box time and time again. I think possession tells you that, efforts tell you that. Man United, no corners. I think Liverpool, 12 corners. So it wasn't a problem getting up to the edge of the box. But that final pass from Liverpool was missing, and that can happen.
Yeah,
that can happen.
Yeah. I wonder what it tells us more about. Does it tell us more about Manchester United's character, Simon, or more about Liverpool's title shortcomings?
I wasn't one going into that game assuming that Liverpool were going to hand United their head. We all know that United are capable of turning up in games. The problem with United is that they're not capable of turning up in enough games, and often in games when you expect them to do better than they do, and we've seen that in the Champions League. I don't think it tells us about anything. I think United are a capable side that are sixth in the league and will play in individual games and have a little bit of resolution about them at times, because we've seen them come back from adversity, play a game in a fashion like the game against Chelsea, and everyone goes, aha, the thing's been righted. And, Liverpool against Man United is one of those fixtures, arguably one of the biggest games in English football, and every now and again it throws out an anomaly that Graeme got to dine out on last year with Neville and his little crowd when they beat them 7, but that doesn't happen very often. So I'm not surprised that the game ended the way it did. But if you look at the nature of Liverpool's dominance of the game, to have 34 attempts on goal, it tells you it's just a little bit of profligacy, and that's about it. Liverpool, this title race is a long way from being run. We were in the same position this time last year. Yeah, same people, same faces, same spaces, same potential challenges about Manchester City, same debates going on.
I think it does tell you a wee bit.
What does it tell us?
Well, it tells you how Man United, as you said, they don't turn up in big games. They don't beat the teams in the top half of the table. They have turned up at Anfield yesterday with a game plan, and I fully understand why they've played like that, because they're not in a good place right now. And I think for a Man United team to play like that is disappointing for their supporters. I don't think it tells us anything other than the strikers, the forward players at Liverpool yesterday were just not on it. The amount of overhit passes they were making, especially in the first eye, Slobber's had his worst game in a Liverpool shirt. The midfield just didn't have that key to the door to open it and create killer chances, because there are a lot of half chances. But I think for me, I learned nothing about Liverpool. I still think they're going to be in with a big shout to win this league. And I think it tells you a fair bit about where Man United are right now in terms of lacking in quality, lacking in belief, lacking in confidence. I think that tells you exactly where they are right now.
But if you're going after the negative side of United, Graeme, they left yesterday. That was like a win for them yesterday.
Yeah, and they should be happy with that, and they will be happy with that. But it tells you how far off the mark Man United are right now when they go there and are happy to play like that and are happy with digging a result out like that.
I mean, you look at the stats, Graeme, we always do this. Liverpool shots 34, Manchester United 6. So Klopp's saying mismatch. I suppose he would, but it was 0-0 at the end. It was a point apiece.
You see, we're going to talk about Van Dijk's interview as well.
Yeah.
Jurgen's interview. It's born out of frustration. They fancy themselves. When you have that much of the ball, you're constantly on the front foot. You're thinking you should have won the game. There was a couple of chances in the second half when Man United broke on them. So when you're out there as a player, that comes into your mind as well. Let's not get caught on the break. But if I was involved at Liverpool today, there's nothing to shout about. This is not for Liverpool. Forget it was Man United yesterday. This is not a new thing for this Liverpool team. And the Liverpool teams I played in, where teams came and sat in, and they were delighted if they dug out a point. Deal with it. You just have to deal with it. You know that teams are not going to come out and play an open game of football against you.
You would say yesterday's result tells you more about Manchester United's character
definitely
than it does about Liverpool's title shortcomings. You think Liverpool are right bang in there for the title?
Most definitely. Let me tell you.
But Manchester United way off it.
Liverpool, country mile. Liverpool will play the exact same, or try and play the exact same way in every game of football they play. between now and the end of the season. And as long as Jurgen is manager of that team, they will try and get on the front foot and outscore you. And that includes when they play Man City. For Man United, if not one of the biggest football clubs in the world, they are in a place where they're having to turn up and try and nick games. This is Man United, who have spent £1 billion in the last 10 years. I think that tells you everything you need to know about Man United. They're not in a good place right now. And people can dress it up, but your eyes don't lie. You're witnessing it most weeks, where they're so far off matching Man City, matching Liverpool. You have to say Arsenal and possibly Tottenham creeping into that group. They're a country mile off those teams.
Well,
and for Man United, Man United supporters, it must be painful right now for them. And the Man United supporters will not have enjoyed yesterday. They will enjoy digging out a result and getting a point. But in the bigger picture, stand back tomorrow and say, how can we pull out that every week if you're Man United?
There's Darren in Wiltshire. Graeme, United had 2 clear-cut chances, Hoyland and Garnacho. As Ten Hag said, the best chances of the game. We could have won it. Liverpool were limited to run long-range strikes.
It wasn't long-range strikes. The stats tell you everything. Of course, I just alluded to it there. When you're out in the pitch, in that second half, when Man United had a couple of breakaways and good chances, when you're a player, if I'm a Liverpool player at that moment in time, I'm being concerned more about that than winning the game. But yeah, Man United turned up. They did what they had to do. I'm trying to step back from looking at yesterday's 90 minutes and look at where Man United are right now and where they go from now to the end of the season. They can't beat a big team. They've not beaten a big team this year. So yeah, go to Liverpool, dig a result out. Go to Man City, go to Arsenal, go to Tottenham, dig out a result like that. And you want to do a lap of honour for that?
There's Andy, one listener, saying, why are you going after United this morning and not Liverpool?
There's nothing to go out, but I'll be critical of Liverpool if there was something to be critical
but
about.
The onus was on Liverpool to break United down.
Yeah, well, the stats would suggest 12 corners for, none against. 70% of possession would tell you they went after them. Was how many shots on target? 18 shots on target. That would tell you a team was trying to win the game.
It tells you that they're profligate. It tells you if you have 34 shots on goal and 25%
I'll go back
of
to
them
where
on
I started with this. Liverpool were guilty of one thing and one thing only yesterday. They didn't take their chances when they arose. They maybe weren't as creative as they have been in the past. But that can happen in any game of football you play in.
But the onus is on Liverpool. They're playing.
But they tried to win it.
But the onus is on Liverpool. They're at home. They're the team in form. Man United are out of form. They're out of sorts. They're structurally wrong at this moment in time. So realistically speaking, it tells you that Liverpool weren't good enough to break down.
Well, it's not good enough.
Let me finish the point.
You're looking for something that doesn't exist in.
Well, I'm looking at 34 shots on goal, right, and less than 25% of them on target. So that tells me that the quality wasn't there. So that's an observation upon Liverpool. If United have gone into that game knowing that this is a difficult game, they're in a difficult period like teams have. So they're not the team in ascendancy. They're not the team psychologically or literally in ascendancy. So they're going to play the way they're playing at this moment in time to get them results. A 0-0 draw for Man United is a win. Now, you're going back to the teams of 10, 15 years ago, which have long gone. So we should stop characterising Man United this way and start looking at the reality of what we're looking in front of us. United dug out a 0-0 draw at an in-form Liverpool side where the onus is upon them to put United to the sword, and they didn't.
Liverpool
end of discussion.
Have so many goal scorers. Yeah, they've got a few injured at the moment. Liverpool have a lot of goal scorers, which makes them dangerous, which means normally you don't have to play very well to win football matches when you have goal scorers, and you have them in abundance. But yesterday, it didn't happen. And that can happen in any game of football. It will not, I'll guarantee you, that will not be a regular occurrence for this Liverpool team. They will score goals most weeks.
Fantastic.
Not most weeks,
but we weren't talking about that. We were characterising the difference between the two sides.
You're happy to... You'd be an absolute village idiot to be critical of this Liverpool team. They're entertaining. This is not me talking as a Liverpool supporter. Going back a couple of years when Man City were still a dominant team, their brand of football in Liverpool's was different. I enjoyed, as a football person, I enjoyed watching Liverpool more than I did City. But I felt they tried to get on the front foot quicker than what City did.
But we didn't witness the predicted goal fest yesterday. In fact, we didn't witness one goal.
It's one game.
And there's a message there. Liverpool haven't been a big team yet, Graeme. The usual rubbish from Liverpool pundits and fans. They're blubbing this Monday morning because it didn't go their way. Cry, suey, cry, says that message.
I have been in football a long time, and I know games like that can happen.
Yeah.
Where you don't get what you deserve.
Kevin is a big Liverpool fan. Kevin, good morning. You were there yesterday, I believe.
I I was, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, I'm one of the village idiots, I'm afraid.
Go on.
To be honest, I spoke with a good Man United fan, season tickets holder, before the game about us, and he was worried about the game, and I said I wouldn't worry too much. We're not flying. We're not playing well. We struggled against Sheffield United. We struggled against Crystal Palace. We struggled against Luton, and we struggled against Fulham at home. We scored worldy goals from outside the box. Trent, McAllister, Endo. Yesterday, the three forwards in that team yesterday looked like strangers, to be honest. Nunes needs to learn the offside rule. Until Gakpo come on, there was nobody actually running directly and trying to beat a man. Diaz on the left wing was running across the pitch instead of going past the man and pulling. So Graeme, we're not firing on all cylinders in the forward line. Poor Szoboszlai started off like a house on fire for the first 6 or 7 games, and he struggled the last 3 or 4 games. Actually got pulled off yesterday. So yeah, we didn't play well, Graeme. We dominated Manchester United, and we dominated Manchester United because they sat in. And yeah, as Virgil van Dijk said, yeah, they didn't come to win. They come to basically get a draw. If they get us on the break, they get us on the break.
Okay, Kevin. But Graeme, what would you say to that? I mean, there is an extremely straightforward view from a Liverpool fan who says this is how I saw it, and I think you've got to be practical about it. I think you've got to be, much more pragmatic about it.
Good morning, Kevin.
Morning, Graeme. Morning,
Kevin, I've been saying for months that this Liverpool team are very, very dangerous because they have more goal scorers than anyone else. And when you've got goal scorers, it means that you don't always have to play well to win football matches. And I accept the point you're making about last-minute winners in the last few games, but that's what top teams do. And I'm reluctant to be critical of Liverpool yesterday because in the history of, I don't know how old you are, but you've no doubt witnessed great teams at Liverpool. And the great teams do that. They don't always play well, but they find a way to win. Yesterday, because it was Man United, there's so much more. That could have, if it had been Fulham we got a draw against, we wouldn't be. This conversation would not be taking place. It's because it was against Man United, and it's because we whacked them 7-0 last time out at Anfield. So there's a lot of talk because everyone thought yesterday it was just a matter of how many goals we were going to score against them. It didn't happen. I've played in games like that when we've been a dominant team and regarded as the best team in the league and won the league. But we'd always have games like that where you just don't get what you deserve. And I'm so reluctant to be critical of Liverpool, not because I'm a Liverpool supporter.
If you drew 0-0 at home with Fulham,
not
at the
because
midpoint of the season at
I'm a
Anfield,
Liverpool
you'd have something to say
supporter.
about it. People will be saying,
because I've
good
taken
Liverpool.
part in those games, and games like that can happen to any great team.
What were you saying, Kevin? Thanks for that.
It's a simple fact, isn't it? It's nonsense.
So what were you saying?
This is nonsense. If we were playing at the middle part of the season, Liverpool playing Fulham at home and drawn 0-0, people would be questioning Liverpool. Well, they're not. No, the question wasn't framed that way. It was characterised. Which one comes out of this game with more commendations? Liverpool and their title charge, or United and their current position? That was the characterisation of the question. You've decided to extrapolate up to something more than that. But you have to, and you are also suggesting that Liverpool, for some reason best known to yourself, are immune to any form of criticism. And critical evaluation is you've had 34 shots on goal, you haven't scored a goal. You get bleeding criticism for that.
Yeah,
Anyone else would. You'd be if United had 34 shots on goal, you'd be going, United are profligate. If we say it to you about Liverpool, you say it's one of those days.
I'm saying to you right now, they're third top scorers in the league, so scoring goals is not a problem for them. I've already said they have more goal scorers than anyone else, and I think that'll stand them in good stead between now and the end of the season. Which means
you said they were top scorers, they're third top scorers.
I said third top scorers just now. You're not listening again.
No, you said they were top scorers, and then someone came in and corrected you during the break.
No, off air I said top scorers, but I was correct, and I was correct when I said just now third top scorers.
Good.
So I think scoring goals will not be a problem, which means you can win games and not be at your best, and that's maybe been the case in the last month. This is a good Liverpool team, and yesterday, they were guilty. Was that a criticism? They were guilty of not scoring goals with all the shots they had and all the dominance they had. Having 70% of the ball would suggest you're going to be in front foot, playing in their half most of the time. Even 8 shots on target are not enough for 70% of the ball. Is that enough criticism for you?
That's fair observation, isn't it?
I think I've been saying that since we went on air. They're not. They were guilty of not scoring a goal yesterday. guilty of having 70% of the ball and not working the goalie enough.
Sam's a big Manchester United fan. There's a message gone through. Jim, ask Graeme to comment on this. I'm coming to you, Sam. Manchester United are the first team not to lose at Anfield this season. The first team to stop Liverpool scoring this season. So, Sam, where are you with it this morning? How did your team United come out of it yesterday with a 0-0 draw? Sam with us?
Hello.
Hi, Sam. Good morning.
Hi there, gents. Yeah, look, after the shambles last season, I think everyone expected United to pretty much shut up shop. And if you would have offered me a 0-0 draw, I would have absolutely taken it. The last 45 minutes, the biggest issue I've got with what Graeme Souness has said is that you can't be critical about Liverpool's yesterday. If you want Liverpool to win the title, you have to be critical of yourselves yesterday. 34 shots you had on target, you couldn't score. Bournemouth put 3 past us the week before. We let in God knows how many goals in the Champions League the past few weeks. I don't know why this is getting me so frustrated, because I don't care about Liverpool. But for you to say you can't be critical of Liverpool, if you want Liverpool to win the title, you have to be critical of your performance yesterday.
Is that not fair, Graeme?
What we're talking about? I've just told them. If you just switched on, what's his name? Sam.
Sam, yeah.
I've just.
But you've been dragged there kicking and screaming, Graeme. You can get all prickly if you want. At the beginning of this show, you did your usual default chest back, shoulder back, chest out game. Liverpool this, Liverpool that. Can't criticise them. You did all that. We can play the audio back if you want.
I think you asked me the question. He's on it today, isn't he? Turns up late and thinks he can dominate.
How can I turn up late?
Sam, forgive me for not being allowed to talk.
Is it not a fair comment,
Sam,
Graeme?
Sam,
You said earlier you'd have to be a village idiot to criticise Liverpool for yesterday.
But what the depth of
criticism? Well, no, you wouldn't,
then.
clearly.
The depth of criticism.
Now he's qualifying it.
If you have 70% of the ball, you have 12 corners, and Man United have none. You have 8 shots on target. There's the criticism. If you nitpick, you have 70% of the ball, but only 8 shots on target. For me, that ain't enough. That's telling you you're not making the goalkeeper work enough. Is that enough criticism for you, Sam? Because beyond that, I can't be any more critical. And I think, for you to come on, and it's honourable for you to come on and talk about Liverpool's shortcomings when Man United, we could be here until next week, 24 hours a day, talking about their shortcomings.
Oh, look, and I 100% agree with you. The performance in United team at the moment, no one can answer what's going on, not just this season, but the past few seasons. But like I said, the biggest frustration, Liverpool are doing really well this season. They couldn't get past United yesterday. They couldn't. If you want to win the title, you have to win these games.
But Sam, you as a Man United supporter are basically saying that Man United are not very good and Liverpool should be smashing them. But in football, like anyone who's a follower of football, the best team doesn't always win. You don't always get your just rewards. And that was a case of Liverpool yesterday. You cannot say that they didn't deserve to win the game. Yeah, they ended up not winning the game because they were not their usual selves in front of goal. But I think I come back to it. This is a game that at 12 months of when it was last April did they play? And it was such a one-sided affair that going into this weekend, it was only a matter of time and how many goals Liverpool would score against them. And it didn't happen. So we're being critical of Liverpool because they didn't score 7 goals yesterday.
Colin's a Liverpool fan. Colin, would you be critical of your team in any way after you witnessed what you witnessed yesterday at Anfield? 34 shots to United's 6, and yet you couldn't score? You couldn't win it? Good morning, Colin.
Morning.
Hi. Colin, you with us? Yeah. You were there. I mean, what's your take on A, the scoreline, and B, what it tells us about Liverpool?
The scoreline's the scoreline, I think, isn't it? I mean, the way Everton Man United played, it was like I said to the lads who sit next to us, it's like Burnley have come to Anfield again. They were negative, and I knew that from the start when they turned us round. When we had us shooting at the cop the first half, I knew they were going to do and play that way. So, yeah, we could have been more critical up front, for sure, but they never made it easy for us. I think they've done a good job at pulling off what they wanted to do, and that was stop us from playing, and hence why the atmosphere was a bit down. Obviously, a lot of us thought we were going to go there and turn this Man United team over, They're not the best Man United team, but I think, yeah, the way the game panned out, and that's why the atmosphere was a bit crap. I think,
that's the first time, I think, in 35 games at Liverpool, in all comps, they've not scored a goal. Liverpool,
yeah.
35 games.
It's interesting because Liverpool are tracking at the same statistical goal ratio they got last year, which made them finish 5th. Liverpool scored 36 goals in 17 games. So ultimately, Liverpool aren't a goal-scoring machine.
Okay, well, another one of many messages. Goal-scoring ratio. Stats don't win games; goals win games. And you know that game when you played. Of course, you knew that, and you know it now. But at the end of the day, you still think it tells us more about Manchester United's character than it does about Liverpool's title shortcomings.
Yeah, because I've played in games like that. I've witnessed games like that where you deserve to win it. You're on the front foot for the vast majority of the time, and for whatever reason, you don't get the result you deserve.
Porto against Arsenal was the first tie to be drawn. So Arsenal will go to Portugal to take on Porto. Napoli will play Barcelona. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, will face Real Sociedad. Inter Milan will face Atletico Madrid. PSV Eindhoven take on Dortmund. Lazio play Bayern. Copenhagen will play Manchester City. And Leipzig face Real Madrid. Those are the ties. Graeme, what's the standout one for you, mate?
I don't know. I think Inter Atletico, that could be, who blinks first. Both those start both games not wanting to lose rather than trying to get on the front foot and win it from day one. I think I always like to watch Bayern play because they try and win games. Real Madrid the same. I see when I look at, maybe this is an enormous compliment to the Premier League, Jim, but I look at Spanish football today and I look at Italian football today and look at German football today, and then there's PSG who are not the same team, and I've got question marks about the leagues. They're nowhere near as good as our leagues. Our league, they don't play with the same intensity, and I'm not sure if they've got that desire that our players show. So I think both Arsenal and Man City.
You think an English name's in the trophy?
Yes, I think they're the best teams. Looking at them, I really have. I think our league is so good now. Those two teams must be, if not the outstanding favourites. Maybe first and second or first and third.
Simon, Manchester City haven't been getting it all their own way here.
No.
In recent times. Will they have enough to beat Copenhagen, do you think?
You'd think so. I mean, ultimately, that's a decent draw for them. But ultimately, again, the Champions League, they've got to turn up and perform. I think the tie for me is Leipzig versus Real Madrid, because both of those sides score goals. And so if you're watching games and you want to see goals, you're going to see goals between Leipzig and Real Madrid.
Goals don't always say that means it's a great game.
No, but they're the defining part of the game, aren't they?
See, and when you get to the knockout stage, on paper, you can pick your obvious favourites in your own head. But it's not one on paper. And you only have to have one bad 90 minutes or one bad 45 minutes, and you could be out of the competition. You could get a player sent off, a couple of bad refereeing decisions, and you're in trouble for the second game. So there's nothing's guaranteed at this stage. These are all good teams. Yeah.
So that's the last 16 draw as it was made over in UEFA headquarters. Arsenal were second out the hat. They came out against Porto. Napoli will play Barcelona. Real Sociedad go to PSG in the first game. Inter Milan at home to Atletico Madrid. PSV Eindhoven take on Dortmund. Bayern Munich and Harry Kane will go to Rome to face Lazio. Copenhagen play Manchester City. And Leipzig take on Real Madrid. What's going on with Manchester City, Mr. Souness? This is a question for you. 2-2 against Crystal Palace. All of a sudden, question marks about Manchester City. They've got the fewest points after 17 games in the Guardiola era. Are they looking a bit more human than they have done in recent seasons?
Are they still favourites for the Premier League? I'd put them favourites for the Champions League. I mean, if you look beyond just a couple of dodgy results, why is it? Is it because they've lost their mojo? Is the manager not getting after them? Is the manager, the usual nonsense that's trotted out? The manager's demanding too much of them. Nonsense. These are top players that will respond, and they will bounce back. And they might not win the Premier League this year. They might not win the Champions League this year, but they're a fabulous team. And what makes them a fabulous team, they're fabulous individuals who play like a team. And there's nothing wrong with City. And I would not be critical of them in any shape or form. We're sitting here every Monday morning. Well, I am every fortnight, and we're asked to comment on Liverpool being poor yesterday or something else that raises its ugly head. These are top teams filled with top players, and it's a temporary thing. It's just a temporary thing. It's a moment in time. It's a 90 minutes for Liverpool yesterday, and it's a 2 or 3 weeker for Man City right now. And I believe they'll be back. The top players hate losing. They hate people talking about them in a negative way. And they find an extra yard when it matters. And I believe City will do that between now and the end of the season.
Incidentally, is it a moment in time for Jack Grealish? Since your column, and you lent on him a bit during your in your recent column, it's now 3 goals in 3 for Jack. You claimed the midfielder needed to have, quotes, a good look at himself. Maybe he's done that.
Hopefully. I mean, our players today, beyond any criticism, any suggestion that maybe they could improve in areas of their game. It's never been like that. Is it suddenly like that? So Jack, I'm not suggesting Jack is scoring goals because I've dug him out a wee bit, but that was an observation. And it was factually correct. And now he's scoring goals, and I'll make continue for him. Then at the end of the season, he can get into double figures, and the challenge for him after that, before sticking 2 fingers up to me, is to do it again next year, and then the next year. You know, great players are. We call great players bang average players today. You know, there's so much stuff about great players, world class players, legends of the game, and they've achieved very little, and that's the hype surrounding football today. Jack Grealish has to be in 10 goals every year till he retires, and then we can maybe have a conversation then. Not 3 goals in the last 3 weeks.
I think he's right. I think what he means is we call bang average players top class players.
Yes. Yeah.
But the point is, I knew what he meant. I think he was absolutely right about Grealish. I think he's been right about Grealish, and he was right about Pogba. People take it.
Why
as a
don't you
hobby.
take me out about that one again, Jim?
No. I mean, more
in my
recently,
previous
you did lean
life,
on
I used to
Jack.
come on here and you would
weren't
take
here
me
long
out,
enough to be able
or
to
that
do it.
little Arsenal man that tells you what to say next door.
Don't be heightist.
No, you on a regular basis, you used to lean on Pogba, but it seems to have shifted to Grealish. But
It's
there
not
has been
shifted
a
to
change.
Grealish.
He was right.
It's not shifted to Grealish. I pointed out that he should score more goals.
You were trying to catch a meal out of him not so long ago.
No, he offered.
Did
I'm
he?
still waiting, yes. I think what killed him, I suggested in my column, or I told him in my column.
What it was going to cost?
I only drink expensive wines.
When other people are
I've heard
paying.
nothing.
But Jack apart, do you think we are guilty? Not we here.
I bet it's good for a night out, by the way.
talkSPORT. But do you think there is a guilt in some sections of the media to look at a player who, in your to use your words, is pretty bang average, but we heighten them? They're made to be great players. There's only a very select few who are great. Really,
What a time to be a football player today. And another thing that happens is the man in the street puts them on a pedestal when they shouldn't. A lot of the time, there's still great players out there, but the average players from generations before are now deemed great players because they earn $100,000 a week plus, and they're put on a pedestal. That's how the game is.
I make this argument all the time with you, Jim, about the classification of players and then the judgment. Everyone runs around saying Marcus Rashford is a world-class player. He's not a world-class player. He's a decent player. So when you put him on a pedestal of being world-class and he performs below that level, everyone goes, he's below that level. He was never at that level anyway.
What is a world-class player in your definition of a world-class player? I'll give
Someone
you
that can get in any team.
You've nicked my lines.
Absolutely.
You actually listen
Were
to me
you-
occasionally.
were you world class, Graeme?
Yes.
That would be for others to
Yes, he was.
That would be for others to.
Shut up, Graeme.
make that
Shut up,
But
Graeme.
I
Just say it, Graeme. You're the president of your own fan club. Say it.
when I went to Italy in '84, when it was all the best players in the world there.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: I never felt out of my depth.
Yeah. Well, you were playing against Maradona and people like that.
I didn't feel in my position. I never felt out of my depth.
But
Playing against the very best midfield players that are out there, I never felt I was playing second.
I'm not. It's a fair question, though. I'm not asking you to praise yourself, but did you consider yourself to be a great player?
Yes, he does.
Jim,
Just say it,
you know
Graeme.
what? I was born. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. Came from a great family, a great mum and dad, and my brothers. Treated me properly. I got some stick off them when I deserved it. And I grew up being a confident boy, so that is as much as you'll get out of me. I was always and still am confident, and I can't deny it.
Do you think you
and
were a
as,
world-class
and as
footballer?
Archie Gemmell said once, if he was chocolate, he'd eat himself.
Top footballer?
I mean, you were talking about Rashford, and you don't think he has ever been world class?
No, not at all.
It's a fair question. What constitutes world class?
Someone who could go and get in anyone's team. He's not that. Marcus Rashford, tell you what great players do. Not world, but great players. They turn up every week. Now, Marcus Rashford, I think, got 30 goals last year. The year before, they had a miserable season. This year, he's having a miserable season. You're not describing a great player there. You're describing an in-and-out player there. And world-class players are few and far, they're hard to find. And I would suggest at this time in our league, who are there? Does City have some? Yes. Haaland won. De Bruyne won.
Silva
could go and get in anyone's team, possibly. Argument for the goalkeeper, maybe.
Yeah, Edison. Yeah.
Rodri at Liverpool. Van Dijk gets in anyone's team. Mo Salah gets in anyone's team. Anyone at Arsenal? Not sure. No one at Tottenham just yet. Where else are there?
So you got to rack your brains to find truly world-class players at certain clubs.
People that be welcomed at Bayern Munich. People that be welcomed at Real Madrid. There's not many.
Yeah, but having said that, how many world-class players are there at Bayern Munich right now?
Well, Harry Kane is one.
One. English.
Tenants in midfield, maybe. The goalkeeper's had a year out, so he would have been an argument.
But you're struggling to get two or three.
Yeah. If there's one at your football club, you've won.
Some time ago, Graeme, I'm sure you told me the likes of, on this very show, Fahad Mashiri. Yes, successful businessman. Then comes into football. What do you know, doesn't get it right. Todd Bowley, hugely wealthy individual. Then comes into soccer. Does he get it right? Not immediately. So Mr. Jordan, in his column last week in the Daily Mail, Chelsea have taken several steps backwards under new ownership and simply aren't functioning properly. There is very little to admire. Chelsea's actions since the takeover betray a lack of understanding of the industry. The result, they keep on making the same mistakes because they don't have the right people around them. Graeme, you must be delighted that this man is following suit.
I'm not going to gloat. It's not my style.
See, again, context is everything. What you have to remember is this is an article of about 1,100 words and you've taken one paragraph out. I have never disagreed, never disagreed with the principle that you have to get the right people around you. What I've disagreed with is the characterisation that Graeme frames it as, is that everybody that walks through the door thinks that they know better than everybody else. Now, what they do is they make mistakes and then they learn from those mistakes. And unfortunately for Chelsea, 18 months into the job, they're still not learning from their mistakes. So that's the reasons why I write a long column, which has one paragraph on it. And at no point have I ever disagreed with Graeme that you need to have the right people around you. I've disagreed with his characterisation that we think it's easy when we walk in the door, that these guys are all idiots. That's how Graeme frames it. So that's why I push back against it.
I think
I don't think you think they're all idiots.
That's what he says.
No, they're not all idiots.
No, he says they think it's easy.
No, they do think it's easy. I think I said to you the last time we spoke about this, which seems to be every time I'm on here, a very prominent Sunday Times journalist wrote that when a clever businessman buys a football club, he leaves his brains at the door. And I think, a
journalist has never run anything besides
you've got
writing
Ed
columns.
Woodward, you mentioned Mashiri, you got Ellis Short, you got Mel Morris, you got Abramovich in his early days, you've got Ted Bowie at Chelsea now. I just think it was madness. He takes over
Ted Lasso, Todd Bowley.
Yeah, he takes over a football club.
But do you not think it's the same in any new industry? Do you not think when you walk in the door, the only thing different about this industry is it's all over the back pages of newspapers and it's amplified. So you go into any business, if it's a new business that you've bought and inherited, you make mistakes and no one knows about it.
They know that walking in the door to football. They know that.
My analogy would be this, reverse it. I tell you what, I've bought the LA Dodgers, is that the baseball team there? I'm going to get Alex Ferguson to go over there and build me a baseball team. The guy comes into Chelsea, he gets rid of all the football knowledge, Peter Cech, Bruce Buck, and Marina, is that Marina the lady?
Yeah.
So we should have pleaded with them
to stay. But that's your assumption, that he gets rid of them.
No, he should have pleaded with them to stay.
Okay.
So he comes into football, who was he listening to on day one?
Granted.
But that's where the problem lies. He bought Cucurella for about 60-odd million quid.
And Man City were at 55. So he got down to 5.
Do you believe that? Do you
who
believe
knows?
that?
Who
All right,
knows?
you know how the game works.
I
So
do.
say Brighton want just the possibility of this.
Yeah.
Brighton want to sell him. They put a story out there through a friendly journalist that Man City are in for him at 55 million quid. They paid 60. They had Chilwell, who may have been injured, and they had the guy who went off, the Spanish player, big tall left, and not Antonio. What was the big left back they had? Left-sided player who's better than Cucurella. And you
You're talking about the Rudiger.
no,
Not Rudiger.
left-sided player, lots of hair.
Lots of
Spain.
hair. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
Lots of
they're
hair.
making football decisions.
The bottom line is, though, Simon, Graeme came away with this first, and you have followed to an extent.
But
because he was in Bully's back as soon as he came in
No, but
because
you're-
of some of the decisions he was
but
making.
you're making it a binary observation. I pushed back and would continue to push back. Alonso, is it? Push
Well done.
back. I will continue to push back against Graham's association with the fact that people walk in the door and think it's easy. They don't walk in the door and think it's easy. They walk in the door finding the right voices. And when I walk in the door and buy a football club, and I've got you in situ, I've got no relationship with you. So who do I trust? Do I trust you because you say I should? Or do I trust you because I develop a relationship with you over a period of time? And who do I trust? I make judgment calls, and guess who's got to live with them? Me.
Do you know where they trust? The agent. They trust an agent who will have his trousers down.
But you're making this
But
like
the buck stops with you, Simon.
Of course it does. But
'Cause you're the man at the
owners
top.
are a homogenous group, and not every owner that walks in the door operates in the same way. So what you're saying is, I didn't trust agents from the get-go. I loathed them, detested them like a disease from the get-go. So I didn't trust agents. I made mistakes. I made judgment calls that were flawed because my education wasn't good enough. What I'm making in this article is that their education isn't improving. And that if you make the same mistakes after 18 months, everyone's allowed to make mistakes. God knows you've made enough, and so have I. So what you do is you don't make them twice, or you don't make them 3 times.
There's nobody from Fergie down got every transfer right.
Correct.
Nobody. So you've got a new guy comes into Chelsea with no knowledge of football, and surely the smart thing to do would be have a look at it. Have a look at it. Work out who you can trust, who you can't trust, who has the knowledge, who doesn't have the knowledge.
Okay, with Chelsea,
Let me
it's a
finish.
unique situation, isn't
So
it?
then you have 6 months looking at it.
With Chelsea?
And then you start. No, you explain that.
Okay. So you walked in the door after the government had put you up for sale. You spent £2.5 billion, right? You've got the whole of the media on there. You've got a manager behaving quite appallingly during the break. Right? You've got the existing board don't want to be there anymore. Bruce Buck and those
So
guys
it's
want
all
to go.
it's all the manager's fault.
No, but there's no relationship
He was
there, is there?
behaving badly.
If you walk in there as an owner and you encounter what I understand he encountered, in the same way that I encountered something difficult with Steve Coppell, you're stuck there in a situation. What do?
Why do you need to go? Why do you need to go and spend?
Because you're Chelsea.
700. No, but you don't have. The smart thing would get your feet under the table.
Assess it.
Yeah, that's what all smart people do. And in football, they seem to lose their brains.
Graham's got a point, because the same man, Todd Bowley, at a briefing, suggested we're not here to screw around.
Who spent the first 300 million? Tuchel. Was he the football knowledge? I don't know. Was he? Wasn't he?
Who's he talking to now?
I'm talking to you.
Who's he talking to now?
I'm talking to you. You're talking about the football knowledge. The manager was in the door, an established football operator. Where was the first money spent? In the first window, when Bowley comes in the door, who spent the dough? The manager.
Well, I don't know that.
But that's a fact.
You 100%?
Well, it's a fact. Tuchel was the manager.
Yeah, but was it his calls? I don't think.
Well, no, of course it was the idiot owner.
Well,
It was the idiot owner. It can't be
He's not-
anybody else.
Is
can
there
it?
a fine line, though, Simon, from an outsider coming into the game here, like Bowley has done, and Egbali has done, although Bowley, we hear, is taking something of a step backwards, and judging it and thinking, yeah, I've got this, I can do this, I'll nail this right away, or maybe being a bit slightly more confident than you should be,
Depends
because
on
you
the
really
personality.
don't know the landscape.
Depends on the personality. If you trust these lot, you'll go bleeding mad.
He's an anti-manager.
But you see,
Just because
that's
you had a
it.
bad experience
You
with the
will always
manager.
go owner versus
These lot.
manager.
No,
These lot.
because what you've got is a characterisation that Graham has made from the outset, which is they think it's easy. They don't. What
No,
they do is they rely on somebody when they walk in the door, and they
These-
might make judgment
these
calls.
lot.
Yeah,
This
you
lot,
lot.
this lot, the owners. Tell you what happens with them. They employ a manager and pay him top money.
Yes.
And then the first signing they get wrong, they stop listening to the manager and listen to the
That's
friendly.
not true.
The friendly
That's not-
agent. Who
Depends
then
how much
has his
currency you've
trousers
got.
down.
Depends how much currency you've got. I'll give you an example. Martin O'Neill talking about a relationship with Randy Lerner and how he'd earned the right to make certain decisions. And when he got a bad decision, he'd earned the right to do that. So I said that by that definition, if an owner turns around to you and says, I can't back you any further. He must have earned the respect from you to take that judgment call as an owner. Doesn't work that way. It's a one-way transaction with you guys.
Give us a hint, though. The column coming up on Thursday.
No,
Are
it's
you
last week's column.
are you following Graeme on anything that Graeme has said in the past? Are you going to duplicate?
him on a Wednesday or a Thursday. What should I say this week, Simon?
And then he uses it in his column on the Thursday.
No, I ask him for advice.
Oh, I see.
No, I'm not writing this week. Graeme hasn't given me the inspiration, so I'm having a couple of weeks off.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.